Hello everyone and welcome to my video lecture series. Okay, so we are going to continue with the chapter respiration and circulation. Okay, so yesterday we had studied about respiration in plants and respiration in animals. Okay, so let us start with our today's part, which is the anatomy of the human respiratory system. Okay, so now the human respiratory system. Okay, what is the main role of the respiratory system, all the organs which are present in the respiratory system? So they help in bringing oxygen from the environment inside the body, and similarly they help in removing the carbon dioxide from the body into the environment. Okay, so taking in oxygen is called as inspiration. Okay, or it is also called as inhalation, and removing of carbon dioxide is called as expiration, or it is also called as exhalation, and both these terms are together called as breathing. So the respiratory system helps in breathing, and see, the process of respiration is not only carried out by the respiratory system, it is also carried out by the circulatory system. So the oxygen which is taken in, it is carried by the blood, okay, which is a part of the circulatory system, to the cells. And now you know that in the cells oxidation occurs in the mitochondria, ATP is produced, and carbon dioxide is again brought by the blood into the lungs. So the circulatory system also helps the respiratory system in the process of respiration. Okay, so now let us start with the human respiratory system. Okay, so today we are going to complete the entire anatomy of the human respiratory system. So let's start. Now first of all, the human respiratory system is divided into two main parts. Okay, and those parts are, there is something called as the upper respiratory system, and there is something called as the lower respiratory system. Okay, now the upper respiratory system consists of certain parts. So I'm going to show you the diagram also, but first of all I'm going to write down the parts. So the upper respiratory system consists of parts which are, so there is something called as the nose. Okay, nose is further made up of three parts, so we are going to see them later on. Okay, then there is something called as the pharynx. Okay, pharynx is again made up of three parts, so that division we are going to see later on. And the lower respiratory system which is present, it is basically made up of the larynx, then the trachea. Okay, next is the bronchi and bronchioles, and finally the last part, which are the lungs. So this is just the summary of your entire respiratory system. So obviously the upper respiratory system is the upper part of the body, okay, and the lower one is the lower part. So normally the upper respiratory system starts from the nose, which is over here, and it continues up to the pharynx, so approximately up to here. Okay, so this portion is called as the upper respiratory system. Your larynx starts from over here. Okay, this is the, if you see, this is the Adam's apple, so the larynx is over here, and from here to all the parts below in the respiratory system, that forms the lower respiratory system. Now let us have a look at those parts in the diagram over here. Okay, so now as you see in this diagram, let me just quickly tell you all the parts. So this part, this entire yellow part, not the shaded region, this part forms the nose. Okay, then this yellow shaded, red shaded and green shaded region form the pharynx. There are three types of pharynx, I'm going to explain that to you. Okay, so up till here, okay, somewhat up till here is your upper respiratory system, and starting from this blue part, which is the larynx, then we come to trachea, then we come to bronchi, bronchiole and the lungs. All this remaining part is the lower respiratory system. Okay, so normally when you get diseases like common cold or influenza or cough, so these diseases are called as URTI. If you want, I am going to write that down. This is just extra information. So URTI stands for upper respiratory tract infection, because normally when you get these diseases, they are going to affect your nose, or they are going to affect your throat or the pharynx. Okay, whereas if you suffer from disorders like bronchitis, then that is called as a lower respiratory tract disorder, because bronchitis is the problem which affects your bronchi, okay, which is a part of the lower respiratory system. So remember this, URTI word is commonly used for diseases which affect your nose and the throat. Please remember, pharynx is also called as the throat. Okay, the common word for pharynx is throat. Okay, so now let us see all the parts one by one. Okay, let us start with the first part of the human respiratory system, which is the nose. Okay, so this diagram which is there, which I have drawn over here, it is a general diagram. So I am going to draw a slightly bigger diagram, okay, so that you can understand. So let us start with the first part, which is the nose. Okay, now so the same thing that I have drawn, I am going to enlarge that so that it becomes easier to read. So this part is your nose, you can see that, okay, and this yellow is the part. So now the nose has got two openings which are present, everybody knows that, right? And these openings which are called as the nostrils. Okay, so I am just going to label those parts. So this opening which is present, okay, these are called as nostrils. Okay, so the air enters the nose through the openings called as nostrils. They are also called as external nares. Externals because they are towards the outside of the nose. Okay, so this portion which is present, the opening, they are called nostrils or they are called external nares. Okay, similarly, after this entire passage, there is a part which is present inside the nose, and this part is called as internal nares. You cannot see the internal nares because they are present inside your nose. Okay, so they are also called as internal nostrils, but the commonly used phrase is internal nares. Now this entire portion, okay, this entire portion which is present between the external and internal nares, that is called as the nasal cavity. Okay, the cavity or space present inside the nose is the nasal cavity. Now if you look at your nose properly, the entire cavity is divided into two chambers. Okay, so this is my left nostril, this is my right nostril, and between that you can see this is a cartilage. Okay, that cartilage is dividing the cavity into two parts, left part, right part, left nostril, right nostril, left external nair, right external nair. So this cartilage which is present, which divides the cavity into two chambers, that cartilage is called as mesethmoid. So I am going to write it down over here. So mesethmoid is the cartilage which is responsible for the division of the nostrils. If there was no mesethmoid, then you would be having one opening. Is this clear? So this part which is present, which divides the cavity into two parts, is called mesethmoid, and those parts now are called as nasal chambers. Okay, so the nasal cavity is divided into two nasal chambers, the left nasal chamber and the right nasal chamber. Is this clear? Okay, who is dividing them? Cartilage called as mesethmoid. Okay, now we have to study what the nasal chamber is made up of. So I am just going to draw an arrow and I am going to write nasal chambers. You can use the word nasal cavity or nasal chambers. Normally nasal cavity means both the chambers together are called as nasal cavity, and separately each one is called as a nasal chamber. Okay, now the nasal chamber is divided into three parts. So I am going to just divide this chamber into three parts. So if you want to see over here, this will be the first part, this will be the second part. So part number 1, part number 2, and this is part number 3. Okay, now this first part which is present, okay, this first part is called as the vestibule. So let me just label them using a different color. Vestibule. Okay, or I will do one thing, I will just rub this off and I will write the names over here. So the first part of the nasal chamber is called as the vestibule. Now what is the function of the vestibule? So this portion is having a lot of hair present. Okay, and what is the function of hair? Hair basically traps the dust particles. So when you breathe in air, whatever dust particles are coming in, they are trapped by the hair. Okay, also there is some amount of mucus which is present, which helps in trapping of the dust particles. Okay, so this first part, which is hair and which helps in trapping of dust particles, is called as vestibule. Is this clear? After the vestibule, the next part in the nasal chamber, which is the second part, that part is called as the respiratory part. Okay, so I will write down over here, respiratory part. Now what is the function of the respiratory part? So when the air passes through the respiratory part, see, first of all, this respiratory part which is present, it has got a lot of blood vessels. Okay, so it is highly vascular, and because of the blood vessels, what happens is when the air passes through that region, it warms up, because see, the body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, so the blood is also 37 degrees. So when air passes through this area, and when this area is having a lot of blood vessels, so that area is naturally very warm, so the air becomes very warm and moist in this region. Okay, so it is very important, because suppose if you are in a very cold place and you breathe suddenly cold air, then that cold air will damage the cells of your respiratory system. So this respiratory part warms the air first and then allows the warm air to go inside your respiratory system. Okay, so function of respiratory part is to warm the air. That is why this part is also called as the conditioner. Conditioner means it conditions the air to your body temperature. Okay, and the last part of the nasal chamber is called as the sensory part or the sensory chamber, or it is also called as the olfactory chamber. See, remember, the word olfactory or olfaction refers to your sense of smell. Okay, so this last part which is present over here, so I am going to write down sensory chamber. So this part is responsible for your sense of smell. So you can smell things because of this part. If this part was not there in your nose, then you would not be able to smell anything. Okay, and this sensory chamber or this olfactory chamber which is present, it is made up of olfactory epithelium. Okay, so I will just write it down with a different color over here. Olfactory epithelium. Olfactory epithelium is the lining which is made up of sense organs which allow you to smell. Is this clear? Okay, and finally, after this third part of the nasal chamber is present, the internal layers. Okay, so there will be two internal layers, just like there are two external layers, and with that we complete this first part of your respiratory system, which is the nose. Is this clear? Okay, so nose is having basically the internal and the external layers, and between them the very important part called as nasal cavity. What is important to remember in nasal cavity? First of all, the cartilage which divides the cavity into two parts or two chambers, which is called as mesethmoid cartilage. Then you have to remember the division of the nasal chamber, three parts. First part is the vestibule, hair, so it traps dust. Second part is the respiratory part or the conditioner, which is highly vascular, so it warms the air. And third part is the olfactory chamber or the sensory chamber, which has got olfactory epithelium, so you can smell things. Is this clear? And after that, the internal layers, that completes your nose. So we have covered this part of your respiratory system. Is this clear? Okay, now let us move on to the next part. The next part is the pharynx. So the second part of your respiratory system is the pharynx. Now, pharynx is a common opening for both the respiratory and the digestive systems, because we have studied pharynx in the digestive system also. We are going to study it now in the respiratory system also. Now, if you see over here, I have shaded the regions. This yellow region, if you see, so this is the starting of the pharynx. Okay, and this pharynx, if you see this yellow part, this pharynx is coming after this nasal chamber. So this pharynx is called as, so I'm just going to shift this image slightly this side. This is called as nasopharynx. So nasopharynx is the pharynx which is connected to the nasal chambers or which is connected to the internal layers. Similarly, if you see this part, this red part of the pharynx, so this is the mouth, okay, and the mouth has this oral cavity. Everybody knows that oral cavity continues into the pharynx, which is called as the oropharynx. So see, this is very easy to remember. Naso is nose, oro is oral cavity. So the nasal cavity or nasal chamber continues into the nasopharynx. The oral cavity continues into the oropharynx. So if a question is asked which is the first part of the pharynx, then the answer is nasopharynx. After that is the oropharynx. Now we come to this third part which is there. Okay, so the oropharynx continues down the neck, and finally this last part which is present is called as laryngopharynx. Again, very easy to remember this name, because in the respiratory system, after the pharynx, the next part is this larynx. This is the blue part. So the pharynx which continues into the larynx is called as laryngopharynx. Very simple. See, laryngopharynx is opening into your respiratory system, but at the same time that same pharynx is also continuing down into the digestive system as the esophagus. If you see this green tube over here, okay, this green tube which I have shown below behind the larynx, so this is your esophagus. So the pharynx is actually a common opening. We are giving this name so that it is easier to study them. It is not that they are all different parts, they are all continuous. So laryngopharynx continues mainly into the larynx, but it also continues into the esophagus. Okay, is this clear? So that is your division of the pharynx. Now there are certain things which you need to remember in the pharynx. Pharynx is also called as the throat. Okay, so we say that throat infection hua hai or khasi hua hai, so throat is your pharynx. Now in the pharynx there are certain structures present which are called as tonsils. So everybody knows what tonsils are. So tonsils get inflamed or swollen during infection. Okay, so tonsils are basically lymphoid organs. Now lymphoid organs we are going to study later on in this chapter in the lymphatic system, so I'm going to explain that. Right now I will just tell you that tonsils act like indicators of infection. So if you have a bacterial infection, then the tonsils get inflamed or swollen, and because of that you come to know that there is some sort of an infection in your body. Okay, lymphoid organ I will explain later on when we are doing circulatory system. Okay, so tonsils are also present in your pharynx. Another thing is, between this nasopharynx and the oropharynx, the bone which is present is called as the palate bone. So if you people remember, we have studied about a bone which is called as palatine. Remember when we were studying the skull? So palatine, palate is the roof of the oral cavity or the floor of the maxilla, that is called as the palate. And that bone, if you see, so the palate is somewhere around here, correct? So it is exactly present between the nasopharynx and the oropharynx. So please remember that palate bone is also present. So that ends our second part of your respiratory system, which is called as the pharynx. So I hope this part is clear. Okay, I hope these three different parts of the pharynx are clear. So which is the anterior most part or the first part of the pharynx? The answer is nasopharynx. Which is the posterior most part or the last part of the pharynx? The answer is laryngopharynx. Laryngopharynx is the last part of your upper respiratory tract. After that, the next part is larynx, which is the part of your lower respiratory tract. Is this clear? Okay, so with that we have completed two parts of your respiratory system, which are the nose and the pharynx. Now let us go further. Now we have completed the upper respiratory tract. So your upper respiratory tract is this area, URT, I am labeling. The lower respiratory tract will start from this area, which is the larynx, and it will go down right up till here. So this I am labeling as LRT, which is the lower respiratory tract. So let us start with the next part, which is the larynx. Okay, so this portion is the larynx. Now I have drawn a separate diagram for the larynx because I cannot explain much things using this diagram. So let us change the diagram. Okay, so this diagram is also given in your textbooks. Now first of all, let me explain this. Now this part which is orange in color, that is the larynx. So I'm going to label that. Okay, This green colored part which I have shown, this is your trachea. Okay, so trachea is the next part, but trachea is present after the larynx. And there is a bone which is present over here, which we have already studied in human skeleton, which is called as the hyoid bone. Alright, so the hyoid bone is present somewhere over here. And that hyoid bone is very, very important because to the hyoid bone is attached the larynx. So this entire respiratory pathway is held into that position by the bone called as hyoid bone. Normally in cases involving strangulation, the hyoid bone gets fractured, okay, and because of that the entire respiratory tract collapses. Okay, so anyway, so I have shown the hyoid bone, I have shown this larynx. Now this is a front view of the diagram. If you see the larynx from here, this is how the diagram is going to look. Okay, this part in between, okay, so this part normally is pointed, it comes out and it is called as the Adam's apple, or it is also called as the laryngeal prominence because it is a very, very prominent triangular shaped part. So if you see this diagram once again, I have shown that Adam's apple. You can see this pointed part which is there, so that is this Adam's apple, and that Adam's apple increases in size during puberty in males. Okay, please remember that. So anyway, coming back to this larynx, so this larynx is basically a cartilaginous structure. So I'm going to write that down. Okay, so cartilage, everybody knows it is a slightly elastic structure. So it is basically a cartilaginous structure having membranes and muscles for support. Okay, so membranes and muscles help in supporting the cartilage of the larynx. Now this larynx which is present, its uppermost part, the opening of the larynx, see above the larynx is present the laryngopharynx. Okay, so again let us go back to this diagram. So this is your laryngopharynx, this green part. After that, this first part which is present, this first blue surface, that opening of the larynx is called as glottis. Okay, so opening of the larynx is called as glottis, please remember that. So I am writing down the word over here, glottis, which is the opening of the larynx. Now there is a protective mechanism. Okay, so let me draw a simpler diagram over here. I will rub this off, okay, so that you can understand. Now just imagine this is the larynx, okay, and this is the opening part of the larynx, and above this is present the laryngopharynx. So this opening is called as the glottis. Now on the glottis there is a protective mechanism, okay, and there is a valve like structure, there is a lid like structure which can open and close, and that is called as the epiglottis. Now in biology normally epi means above, please remember, epi means above, sub means below. So epiglottis means a part which is above the glottis. So if you see this diagram now, so above this, so this surface, if you see, this surface is the glottis, and this portion which is there, this is called as the epiglottis. So what is the function of this epiglottis? See, when you are swallowing food, the food will pass through the oropharynx, it will pass through the laryngopharynx, and then it will pass into the esophagus, not into the larynx. Okay, because if the food goes into the larynx, then you will choke. So you don't want that to happen. So this epiglottis which is there, it shuts down, it closes. Just imagine the lid closes so that accidentally the food will not go into your larynx. But when you are breathing, at that time, this lid which is there, it will open up so that air can pass inside. So epiglottis is like a lid or a flap which prevents food from entering your larynx. However, sometimes you may have noticed that when you are eating food and you are talking also with somebody, then accidentally if you swallow water or food and it enters your respiratory tract, then you start coughing. That happens when accidentally the epiglottis remains open because you are trying to breathe and you are trying to swallow at the same time. Otherwise, if you try to do that, you can try it right now or after the lecture. Try drinking water, okay? Try to swallow it and try to breathe in at the same time. You will not be able to do that. First, either you breathe and after you finish breathing in, then you will be able to swallow, or first you swallow, then you will be able to breathe in. You cannot do both of them together. So I hope this epiglottis concept is clear. So this epiglottis is like a flap. So if you want to see in this diagram, I can show a flap over here. So this can be like the flap which is present. Okay, so it will be closed when you are swallowing food, it will be open when you are breathing, because while breathing, if it is closed, air will not go into the larynx. Is this clear? Okay, so I have already explained what is glottis, what is epiglottis. Okay, this is the main structure of the larynx. Okay, it is a cartilaginous structure made of muscles and membrane. These larynx are important because they have parts which are called as the vocal cords. So I'm going to write down over here vocal cords. So just imagine that this area which I have shown, I have used the green color so don't get confused. So there are highly elastic membranous structures which are present, which are called as the vocal cords. Okay, so what happens is when we are breathing, the air passes through these vocal cords and they begin to vibrate, and because of that vibration a noise is generated. Okay, and that noise or sound then enables us to create a voice. So when we speak, or right now when I'm speaking, that air is passing through the vocal cords and it is creating a sound, and the sound which I am making, that is also caused due to the movement of my lips, the movement of my teeth, the movement of my tongue, and also my nasal cavity. So when you are suffering from cold or when your nose is blocked, you know that your voice sounds different. Is this clear? So vocal cords are responsible for sound formation. Okay, so they are present exactly behind the Adam's apple, and these are a very, very important part of your larynx. Is this clear? Okay, so I have already told what the hyoid bone is. Now if you see the diagram in the textbook, then you will see parts which are called as thyroid membrane or thyrohyoid cartilage. All these words you will see. Please remember that on this larynx there is a gland which is called as thyroid gland which is attached. Okay, but it is not a part of the respiratory system. So that is why these parts have been labeled. So if you see this part, this blue colored part in your book, it will be labeled as thyrohyoid cartilage or thyrohyoid membrane. So please don't get confused. That is the membrane which helps in attaching the thyroid gland to the larynx, but I have not drawn it over here because it is not a part of respiratory system. So I hope this larynx part is clear. Okay, so glottis is important to remember, epiglottis is important to remember, it is a protective mechanism. Vocal cords are very, very important. Adam's apple, in the case of males, they increase in size during puberty. Okay, and that's the larynx for you. So it is quite a short part, and the larynx basically connects your pharynx with the trachea. Is this clear? So that is the third part which we completed in the respiratory system, which is the larynx. Now we come to the part which is present below the larynx, and that is called as the trachea. Trachea is also called as the windpipe. So this is the fourth part now in your respiratory system anatomy. Let us go over here. So over here I have shown trachea with this purple colored structure. So you can see there are rings present. Okay, you can see them clearly over here. These green rings are present, C-shaped. So if I show you from a side angle, then the trachea is made up of rings like this, and these are basically called as C-shaped cartilage rings. Okay, so the entire trachea which is present, or the entire windpipe which is present, that entire windpipe is made up of 16 to 20 such C-shaped cartilage rings. Okay, and the length of the trachea is approximately 10 to 12 centimeters. Okay, so this purple part, if you see, that is approximately 10 to 12 centimeters. Okay, here I have drawn a very, very short trachea because I have shortage of space. So such rings will be around 16 to 20. That is your trachea. That is the windpipe. Now the trachea is the windpipe. Behind the windpipe is your food pipe, which is the esophagus. So the esophagus passes behind the trachea. So right now I am facing you. First thing over here will be the trachea, and behind the trachea will be the esophagus. Okay, is this clear? The trachea is present after the larynx. Esophagus is present after the laryngopharynx. Is this clear? Okay, now internally if you see the inside area or inside surface of the trachea, then that inside surface is made up of a epithelium which is called as, so very important, so let me write it down over here, pseudo stratified ciliated epithelium. Now don't get scared by reading this terminology, it is very easy. If you remember the animal tissues which have been covered in your 11th standard, then this is easy. What is pseudo? Pseudo means anything that is false or fake. What is stratified epithelium? Compound epithelium, do you remember? Okay, what is a compound epithelium? See, simple epithelium, compound epithelium. Simple epithelium means single layer of cells. Do you remember this? Squamous, cuboidal, all that. And below that is the basement membrane. This is simple. Stratified epithelium means having multiple rows of cells on the basement membrane. Correct? It is also called as the compound epithelium. And below that is the basement membrane. So this is your stratified epithelium having many rows of cells. Now why is this called as a pseudo stratified epithelium? Because this epithelium is not actually having many layer of cells, it is having only single layer of cells. So now I am going to redraw the diagram. There is only single layer of cells present, but they are multinucleated. So because of those many nuclei, they appear to be having many layers, but they are having only single layer. Are you understanding? So because they are multinucleated, they appear like they have many layer of cells, but only there is single layer of cell. That is why they are called pseudo stratified epithelium. Why is the word ciliated used over here? Because cilia are present. So I guess everybody knows what cilia are. So cilia are hair-like processes which will be present inside, and what do? Is they help in movement. So what do you need to move in the trachea? Wind? No. So suppose if dust particles goes into the trachea, you don't want to let it enter the lungs, right? Because it will then get deposited. You will have respiratory problems. So this inner surface is made up of cilia, and it is also made up of mucus glands. So let me write it down over here. Mucus glands are also present, and mucus glands secrete mucus. Mucus is sticky. So the dust particles will get stuck over here. So this is your mucus glands. So the dust particle, whatever is present, it will get stuck over here, and then that stuck dust particle is sent by the upward action of this cilia. So this cilia will move upwards, they will send the dust particle upwards, and then when it reaches your throat, you will either cough it out or you will sneeze it out. That is the way of removing the dust particle out of your respiratory system. Is this clear? So in trachea, what is very important to remember? First of all, that it is made up of cartilage rings. Cartilage rings are sturdy and elastic, that is why they are present. The length 10 to 12 centimeters. Then what do you have to remember? You have to remember the epithelium from which the trachea is made. Pseudo stratified ciliated epithelium, I have explained that to you. And finally the internal surface is made up of cilia also and mucus glands also. That function also I have told. So that is your trachea, and that is the fourth part of your respiratory system. So we have finished with that, and now the next part which is there. Okay, so let me again scroll upwards. So we have finished with this entire part, okay, this purple area. Now we will start with the next part, which are called as the bronchi. Okay, so let me go lower. Now we won't be needing this diagram because the bronchi are present below the trachea. Okay, so now let us go to this diagram. Now please try to focus on this diagram which is present. This I will explain later on to you. Okay, so now the next part. So we have finished with the nose, first part, pharynx second part, larynx third part, trachea fourth. Now this fifth part is basically about bronchi and bronchioles. Okay, everything we are going to learn together. Now please remember, the bronchi is basically this part which I am shading. Okay, this orange part. So bronchi, it is a plural word. Okay, singular of that word is bronchus, B-R-O-N-C-H-U-S. So bronchus is single, bronchi is plural. So the trachea divides into two parts. each part is called as a bronchus, both together are called as bronchi. So this is the left bronchi. Please see this hand cursor which I am showing you. This is the left bronchus, this is the right bronchus. Please remember, left organ is labeled left according to this person which is sketched. It is not your left. So this is not left lung, this is not right lung. Please remember that this side is the left side, this side is the right side, because the directions are given according to that person. The organs which are present in that person, according to the direction of those organs, the directions are given. So this is left, this is right. Please remember that, not that this is left and this is right. Okay, so this orange part, so now bronchi are basically of three types. So I'm just going to tell you, there is something called as primary bronchi. So let me write down over here. Then there are secondary bronchi. Then there are tertiary bronchi. Now this is very easy to remember. Okay, so the primary bronchi which are present, they are this bronchi. So this trachea divides into two parts which are called as primary bronchi. This is left primary bronchus, this is right primary bronchus. Then each primary bronchus enters the lung. So you can see the lungs over here. And when the primary bronchi enter the lungs, they get divided into many parts. So you can see now this entire orange part gets divided into this skin colored branches over here also. These branches are called as secondary bronchi. Okay, and then each secondary bronchi again gets divided into smaller branches, you can see, and they are called tertiary bronchi. Is this clear? So it's very easy. Primary bronchi enters the lungs, gets divided into secondary bronchi. Inside the lungs, secondary bronchi also gets divided into tertiary bronchi. Okay, so the air is going to pass through the trachea, primary bronchi, secondary bronchi, tertiary bronchi, and as you go on dividing the structures further, they become smaller. I hope you are getting my point. Okay, so up till trachea, the respiratory system was like a single pipe, but from the primary bronchi, the bifurcation started. Bifurcation means division. Okay, so two parts, because each one had to enter a separate lung. Is this clear? Okay, so primary bronchi, is that clear? Secondary bronchi, is that clear? Tertiary bronchi, is that clear? Okay, now tertiary bronchi is also further divided. See, the division doesn't end over here. Okay, so just see this diagram now. Now let us take this diagram. So if I label this as, suppose if this is your tertiary bronchus, because I am writing singular, this pipe. Now each tertiary bronchus again gets divided into number of parts, okay, which are called as bronchiole. So this part is called as a bronchiole. Can you see this? Can you see this division? So this is called as a bronchiole. So each tertiary bronchus gets divided into bronchiole. So if you want to draw, I can actually show it like this. This is the original tertiary bronchus. Okay, this is the division. Correct? So actually I should label it like this. Okay, this is the tertiary bronchus, and what happens is there are divisions which are happening, okay, and the divisions are this. Okay, so now each of these further branches, this is called as a bronchiole. Similarly, this branch is called as a bronchiole. So each tertiary bronchi further divides into smaller branches called as bronchiole. Are you getting me? So this branch is a bronchiole, this branch is a bronchiole, and you can see the bronchioles are further getting divided. Okay, so over here also I can draw two branches. Okay, this is one, this is second. So are you getting my point? Okay, so I hope this division is clear. Bronchi, primary bronchi, each primary bronchus enters the lungs. Secondary bronchi, tertiary bronchi, each tertiary bronchi divides into bronchioles. Now further division, please pay attention over here. each bronchiole is further divided into many alveolar sac. Okay, so this balloons which I have drawn, these are called as alveolar sac. So this is one alveolar sac, this is another one, this is another one, and each alveolar sac is made up of alveoli. So these small portions which you are seeing, these are called alveoli. So singular is alveolus, single alveolus, many alveoli, and each alveolar sac is made up of 10 to 12 alveoli, and that is when the division stops. So just imagine how much the respiratory system is dividing and getting smaller. By the way, if you want to know, the diameter of the alveolus is 0.2 millimeter. One alveolus is 0.2 millimeter in diameter. Just imagine how small that is. Now just imagine if a dust particle gets trapped in that alveolus, what will happen? So highly delicate. Again, now you remember respiratory surface definition. It should be very, very thin. Just imagine 0.2 millimeters. Why? Because diffusion of gases takes place. Is this clear? Okay, so bronchi and bronchioles, is this part clear? Okay, so now the next part which we are going to start with is the lungs. But before lungs, I want to complete the part called alveoli because we are over here. So we have completed with bronchi. By the way, this area which is present, this area of the chest is called thoracic cavity. So thoracic cavity is the area present in the rib cage, the chest area. So basically the primary bronchi, okay, it is the area, it is the part present in the thoracic cage. All these other parts are also present in the thoracic cage. Whereas if you see larynx and the trachea, it is present somewhat in the neck. Is this clear? Okay, now the next part is alveoli. So about alveoli, what I wanted to say is each alveolus is very, very spongy, elastic, okay, and each alveolar sac is made up of about 10 to 12 alveoli, okay, and total there are numerous millions of alveoli present in the lungs, okay, obviously because of the size, and they are spread out throughout the lungs. And basically when you breathe in and breathe out, so these are like balloons, okay, they expand, they inflate, they deflate, they contract. Is this clear? So you can say that each alveolar sac is like a grape, okay, and it is made up of many small seeds, and these seeds are your alveoli. Is this clear? So I hope this bronchi part is clear. Primary, secondary, tertiary further divided into bronchiole. Each bronchiole has, so this is one bronchiole, this is second bronchiole. Each bronchiole has many alveolar sac, and each alveolar has 10 to 12 alveoli. So is that clear? Now alveoli is made up of a membrane which is called as squamous epithelium, okay. So squamous epithelium. Trachea is made up of, can you remember, pseudo stratified ciliated epithelium. This is made up of squamous epithelium, single layer of cells, and connected to connective tissue through a basement membrane, okay. So is that clear? So alveoli are surrounded by blood capillaries. I have already told you they are highly vascular because they need to diffuse gases. So pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein are the two vessels, okay. Pulmonary means related to the lung. Pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein are opposite in nature. Artery, it is the only artery which carries deoxygenated blood. Pulmonary vein is the only vein which carries oxygenated blood. I will explain this to you in the circulatory system because we are going to study that. But as of now, please remember that there are two types of blood vessels which surround these alveoli. So if you want, I can draw blood vessels like this over here. So all these blood vessels are passing over the alveoli, and the oxygen present over here will get diffused in the blood. Similarly, the carbon dioxide present in these blood vessels will get diffused in the alveoli. Is this clear? So pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein are the vessels which act as the vessels to exchange the gases. Okay, so we have completed alveoli as well. Now let us come to the last part in today's lecture, that is the lungs. Okay, so now let me just rub this off. Okay, you can always slow down the speed of the lecture if you feel that the lecture is going fast. I think I'm going at a reasonably slow pace, okay, and this anatomy of respiratory system is probably the easiest anatomy. Please remember that. If you compare it with digestive system, nervous system, reproductive system, all those other systems are much more complicated, to study. Okay, this is probably the easiest one. Okay, so you might have to read it once or twice to remember it, but it's very easy. Okay, anyway, coming to the last part of the respiratory system of the human anatomy, and that is the lungs. Now what are lungs? Lungs are like bags. Okay, and lungs are basically doing what? They are protecting this bronchi and bronchioles and alveolar sac and alveoli, because if you see some part of the primary bronchi that is present, this much part is present outside the lung, but most of the bronchi, primary, secondary, tertiary, bronchiole, everything is present inside the lungs. So it is basically like a protective bag. Okay, now again, as I told you earlier, this is the left lung, this is the right lung. Please remember, in anatomy these directions left and right are according to the person whose diagram you are studying. It is not according to your left and right, because this is a very common mistake most of the students make. So please remember that. Now if you see this surface of the lungs, you can see there are two membranes. One is blue in color and the other is green in color. So there are two membranes which are surrounding the lung. Okay, the outer membrane and the inner membrane. So this outer membrane which is present, that outer membrane is also called as the parietal membrane. We have already come across these words. Okay, so whenever, if you have studied glomerulus, okay, or if you have studied, to be precise, Bowman's capsule, then is that those parietal and visceral cells are present. So parietal is this outer membrane of the lungs. Similarly, the inner membrane of the lungs is called as the visceral membrane. So by rule, please remember, in anatomy, if there are two membranes, the outer one is always parietal, the inner one is always visceral. Visceral means surrounding the visceral organs. Okay, so viscera is basically the space or the cavity present over here, so that is why they are called as the visceral organs, and the membrane surrounding them is the visceral membrane. So inner membrane is visceral, outer is parietal. So membranes are also called as pleura. Okay, that is another word which is there, which you should know. Pleura also means membrane. So they are also called parietal pleura or visceral pleura. Now the space between these two. So if you see over here, so let me rub this off. Let me rub this off too. Now if you see over here, so let me just select this. So this is the outer membrane, correct, and this is your inner membrane. Then there is this space which is present. This space between the two is called as pleural space. Please remember. Okay, so this space, if you see, that is continuous, that is called as a pleural space. I will just show this space between, in between, it's called pleural space, and this space is filled with a liquid or fluid which is called as pleural fluid, which is a lubricating fluid which prevents friction. Okay, now why do you need to prevent friction? So I have written down lubrication. See, when you breathe in, what happens is the lungs expand. Okay, and what happens is these two membranes which are overlapping, they go in opposite directions, so they begin to rub each other. Now if there would be no pleural space, these membranes would constantly be rubbing each other, and because of the friction they would damage each other. So that is why both the membranes are separated by a pleural space and pleural fluid, so that pleural fluid acts like an oil and it prevents the friction. So even though the two membranes are moving, they are not actually causing friction and they are not causing damage. So that is the function of the pleural fluid. Is this clear? Okay, so I hope this pleural space is also called as the space between the two membranes of the lungs. Okay, last thing to remember in lungs is, if you see the structure of the lungs externally, okay, so this is the internal structure. So obviously inside the lungs is inside the lungs, the bronchioles, the alveolar sac, all those parts are embedded. Okay, they are attached. If you see the lungs externally, then suppose if I can draw the lungs, if this is the right lung and this is the left lung, then if you have a look at the if you have a look at the right lung, then the right lung is actually made up of three lobes. whereas the left lung surprisingly is made up of only 2 lobes. Okay, now the exact reason for this is still not known. Okay, and in every person, the left lung, if you see the lung from outside, you will see 2 parts of that lung, and if you see this right side of the lung, it will be made of 3 parts. So please remember, only 2 lobes, the left lung. The right lung is made up of 3 lobes. There is no specific reason for that, and inside the lobes all these bronchioles are attached or embedded. Okay, is this clear? So we have finished with the lungs as well, and with that we finish the entire anatomy of the respiratory system. The last thing which is given in the book is a muscle which is called as the diaphragm. So diaphragm is a muscle which is somewhat over here. Okay, it is like this. It is a muscle which is present in the abdominal cavity. So please remember, diaphragm muscle helps in breathing. As of now, I will explain what it exactly does in the next chapter. So friends, that ends our entire anatomy. Okay, so I hope that it is clear. Let's just revise it very quickly. What are the different points, because I don't have much time. The first part of the respiratory system is the nose. Nose is made up of how many parts? External layers, nostrils, internal layers, and the 3 parts of the nasal chamber. Nasal chamber is made up of nasal cavity. What makes the nasal chamber? This cartilage called mesenteroid. Nasal chamber is made up of 3 parts. Which 3 parts? First is vestibule, second is respiratory part, third is olfactory chamber. You know the functions of each of them. If you don't know, please go through the chapter once again. Next, after the nose, next is the pharynx. Nasopharynx continues after the nasal chamber. Oropharynx continues after the oral cavity. Both of them continue as the laryngopharynx, which continues into the larynx of the respiratory system, or the esophagus of the digestive system. Okay, larynx has got epiglottis, glottis, vocal cords, Adam's apple. Below that, trachea, C-shaped cartilaginous rings. The epithelium, which is called as pseudo stratified ciliated epithelium. Mucus helps dust. The dust gets trapped and it is sent out by the cilia and the mucus. Then we have the primary bronchi, secondary, tertiary bronchi, bronchioles, alveolar sac, alveoli, and finally we have the lungs. So hopefully this lecture is clear to you. Okay, if you have any doubts, please leave comments below the lecture, and guys, if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, share this video, and if this video is helpful to you, please put in a like. Okay, thanks a lot.